Well, good Saturday to you, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhit here with Southern Indiana weather. Not been a whole lot to talk about the past few days, which is a good thing considering all the severe weather that we had with the tornado outbreak last Sunday. First of all, no severe weather expected really the next couple of weeks at least. The big story will not even be rain. The big story is going to be the bitter cold temperatures that we could be facing the next couple of weeks, and potentially even a little bit of snow with that, though the chances of that are starting to wane a little bit. I want to show you at least the latest data and get you up to speed since we haven't done this in a few days. First off, let's just take a look at the temperature trend really over the next couple of days. This is the GFS ensembles, and you can see it's forecasting a high of around 39 today, and some models are forecasting near 40, but it's going to be cold. But then take a look at Sunday right here. Only a high of around 30, below freezing. We rebound a little bit, but you notice this kind of an up and down pattern, and even the up and down pattern with that, the down pattern, even the up pattern rather, it's the highest in the next 15 days that it's got listed here is only 45 degrees. So we're looking at potentially a very cold stretch of temperatures coming up. It's only forecasting a high of 37, for example, on Thanksgiving. So again, that's the big story, will be the cold. And if you just take a look at the low temperatures, goodness, bitter cold temperatures coming up for us over this. So let's just dive into the data. First of all, let's look at what's going on. I want to show you visually excuse me, fighting a little bit of a cold. I want to show you visually what's going on in the atmosphere. Now, typically, we look at the indices like this, and I know that these indices can be confusing. We've talked about them much. We talked about the AO and the NAO and the PNA and some other things, and they're important, but I want to show you that visually today to give you an idea of what's going on in the atmosphere. So here we start out. We're going to look at the next 16 days and show you why I think the next 16 days are going to be relatively cool. So here we start out, and the first two things that I want you to really notice is two bright red areas. Here's what you need to know about this. We're looking at heights. The black lines are heights up in the atmosphere where we reach a certain pressure level, 500 millibars. So this would be about 18,000 feet or so up into the atmosphere. And the heights, the colors represent climatology. How far of a departure from normal is that? So basically, just knock out the technical terms. Here's what you need to know. Red is abnormally high, and green and blue is abnormally low, and then there are, of course, the shades in between, as indicated by the color bar over here. So notice what you have are essentially two huge areas of high pressure. One over here, just to the right of Greenland, and then one generally in this area just south of Alaska. And what we're going to do is watch as we go throughout the next 16 days, and those two areas of high pressure are going to stay fairly dominant in our features. So as we put this into motion, notice, well, let me refresh the page here. Sometimes this Weather Bell site that I use just doesn't like it if you don't refresh it. But notice how they stay. And basically those two areas spin in the same vicinity, at least, over the next 16 days. And they do get a little less strong as time wears on. But just putting them into motion here, get that pattern down. Essentially what you're going to have is a blocking pattern develop on both sides of our continent. Now that's important because then if we go back here, watch how this pumps cold air down. Here we are in Indiana, right around in here. And whenever you've got a big blocking high over here and a big blocking high over here, basically that's just going to be a pump, if you will. Let me put this on a little bit better. We'll put the high pressures in red here. Let me switch over to blue, and basically what we're going to have is a big pump of cold Canadian air pumped down into us as a result, and that's what you're seeing with these blues and greens shadings. And I want you to notice as we put this in time, notice that it stays over us for a good long time. And yes, we do start to moderate a little bit, and if you go in here, essentially what you would see here is that's when we moderate back up to the mid-40s, which by the way is still below normal. But it doesn't take long for us after that to go back down into the greens. And so Even our up patterns is going to be below normal where we should be. Our normal high this type of the year is actually 50 degrees today. So anything below that, of course, is below normal. We're talking a good 15 to 20 degrees below normal for some of the days that we're looking at. So temperatures are certainly going to be one of those things that we're going to have to fight, and that'll be the bigger story as we come in time. So let's actually take a look at the surface map, and we'll get a hint of what's going on. The first thing that we're going to want to note about the surface map is an area of low pressure that's going to develop down here. So we'll take a look at the GFS. As I said, there's a chance, and it's a small chance, mind you, but a chance for a little bit of snow to develop. And as we just put this map into motion a little bit and we move it on, you notice this low pressure develops down here in the Gulf, and models all develop the low pressure, but they take it in different directions, and so there's going to be some model disagreement. Notice this one takes it off of the coast, and then again, notice, remember the first blue line here we call the 540 thickness line. That's the rain-snow changeover line. So again, anything above that is snow. Anything below that is rain, at least in theory. It's a very rough location, and you have to use some other things to pin it down, but that gives you a general rough idea of what you can expect, okay? So as we put this into motion, and you notice the storm system moves, and you notice it largely avoids us, and we end up with no precipitation here. Now the GFS here has been waffling back and forth. Sometimes it goes to minor accumulations. This particular run it says no accumulations. Let's take a look at the Euro models, understanding the European model, the ECMWF as its acronyms are, oftentimes is a more reliable model than the GFS. And let's see what this does with the system. And notice it develops this system again down in the Gulf of Mexico, but I want you to notice where it takes it. Whereas the GFS developed the low and then tracked the low more like this, you notice the Euro develops the low, now it's got here, and watch it track it more in a general way up like this as we go in time. And here we go. And so what this would do is put that snow a little bit closer to us. And notice the 540 thickness line is now below here, but again, we don't see a ton of accumulation from this. We get it maybe just a little bit. The Canadian model, which we'll take a look at real quickly, is very, very, very aggressive with the snow totals. And if I could just get the daggone thing to work, everything's working kind of slowly this morning. Saturday, I guess, is thinking it's its day off. Notice it develops this low, and notice it really funnels the cold air in. It drops this 540 thickness line well south of here, way more than the others do, and it actually puts us a little bit in the precipitation zone, or our area at least, and so that's something to monitor. So how much are we talking about as far as snow totals? Well, if you go with the Euro snow map, which I said the Euro I believe has been the most consistent over time in this, the Euro model is actually putting us at about 0.2 of an inch of snow over us. Now, a little bit higher to maybe over eastern Kentucky. I still have a hard time believing that this is going to be anything significant developing for us. But we'll have to see as far as that goes. If you believe the GFS model, we get absolutely nothing out of it. And again, the GFS has wavered back and forth. If we just took this map back in time and we looked at a few model runs, you'd see, oh, a little bit of that light gray over us, and then no, it's not over us, and then back and forth. So, and then if you take a look at the Canadian model this run is actually showing nothing over us as well. Over the past few runs, though, it has been consistently showing this darker blue in our area and hammering us with an all-out snowstorm. So, you know, the reality is, who do we believe at this point? Well, I'm tending to lean more towards the Euro, although I don't think that we're going to see any accumulation out of it. I would say little to no accumulation is what I'm expecting at this point. In fact, if you take a look at my 7-day outlook over at southernindianaweather.com, I'm forecasting a high of 39 here for Saturday. Bitter cold temperatures as clouds start to decrease tonight will clear out, mainly clear, down to 19. Mostly sunny and 30 tomorrow. It's going to be very, very cold with that cold north wind. Wind chills probably looking to be more in the 20s on Sunday especially. Then we go into just a very gloomy couple of days at the early part of next week. But what I'm forecasting on Thursday, I haven't even put the snow icon up or the rain icon. I'm only giving it a 30% shot. I'm not 100% confident. I'm not even 50% confident yet that we're going to see anything out of this. And it's going to depend on two factors. Number one, where does that low track that we talked about? And the second factor it's going to depend on is how intense is that low. It's going to have to track a little bit more to the north than it is right now in the models to give us any decent amount of snow. And it's going to have to be a strong enough low that it's bringing down some of that cooler air into us. And right now I'm just not seeing it. So I'm only giving a 30% shot of any precipitation on Tuesday. And I've went with a rain-snow mix. And with a high of 38 like I'm expecting, I really don't think most of us will have to worry about any accumulation. It may be if we can get it to snow a little bit and it holds the temperatures down, then maybe. But it's a big, and I mean really big, if at this point, not something that I'm seeing in there. So I don't think this is going to be that big of an event overall. And then notice that in my forecast it just stays cold. We get some beautiful sunshiny days, but it's not until next Friday before we start to hit the 40s again. And of course, if you go back here and you take a look at the temperature trend over just the raw data over that, you see that we get sort of a second brunt of cold air. And that's exactly what we see in the models developing. We warm up a little bit, and so here we are. We may warm up more into the low 40s by the time we hit in this particular time frame. But then very soon after that, you notice we start to go back down into this cold and into the blues and greens. And so that's going to be the story of this. Really, I think into the beginning of December, what we can expect is some fairly decently cool shots of air coming towards us. So will we hit 70 degrees this year again? Probably not, unless you want severe weather again. And at this point, would we say 60 is possible? And I'll end it with this. Is 60 possible by the end of this year still? I think it's going to be a long shot, but our average last time that we hit anywhere in the 60 degree range is mid-December. So it is possible that we could get, but from the way the long-range outlooks are looking right now, it doesn't look like it's likely. I think that is going to be a general cooling trend. Let me also show you the Weather Prediction Center has released their winter outlook, and I want to show you that real quick. Okay, so I had to pause the video there to find the winter outlook page. I didn't have it up. I just happened to think about this, but I want to show you at least what they're forecasting. And you notice they're forecasting a warmer than average temperatures over the southwest and a cooler than average here, but equal chances of being either below normal or above normal in the winter outlooks. And I think this is pretty well reasonable. There are a lot of winter forecasts that do get issued on social media especially, and you'll see a lot of them say, oh, it's going to be bitter cold and it's going to be snow. Right now we have a very lack of clear signal. We are INSO neutral, so that we're not in El Nino or not in La Nina, either one, and we just pretty much have a lack of any signal that would indicate to us what this winter is going to be like. And so I think I agree with the National Weather Service here. I think equal chances being what we could expect here. Could it be above normal? Could it be below normal? I don't know, but here's the thing. We know over the next couple of weeks we're going to be below normal, and I think it's one of these things that really this particular winter at least is going to be best if we just take these a week or two at a time and forecast off of this, and we'll have to go at it that route, because I don't think there's any way that we could predict with any good degree of accuracy, because we just don't have those clear signals to do any long-range forecasting with any good reputation this time of the year. So just keep that in mind. Normally I like to release winter outlooks, but again, just no clear signals, so it's just not worth it this year. I agree with what Noah said in saying equal chances. I think that's the safest. I think we'll see some ups and I think we'll see some downs over the next couple of weeks. As you can clearly see from the data, it looks like we're going to be in one of those downward trends. Don't think that this is going to stick around long term. It may, but we'll have some ups times as well too. It's just the next couple of weeks look to be pretty down. So go to southernindianaweather.com. There you can get the 7-day forecast. We update that on a daily basis. So keep it right here for Southern Indiana Weather. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhit. Have a great Saturday, and we'll see you next time.